hello, and welcome back for our another enlightening episode 8 of our You Are the Masterpiece, which is just for you to tap into that inner strength and realize that you are work in progress and masterpiece at the same time. Because a lot
Mhm.
of times we want to be perfect, but it's not to be perfect. The time is now, and this is the time when we want to step into our power and start
Mhm.
creating what is really marvelous and beautiful for ourselves.
Mhm.
And if this is the first time you are tuning into this podcast, my name is Irina Portnova, and I'm a manifestation star because I love manifestation. And we all actually manifesting, but I teach people how to do it consciously and do it effortlessly and with fun. And I'm here today with my dear guest, Sarah Sparks. Sarah, thanks so much for coming and just share a couple of words about yourself.
Yeah, I am a soul alignment visionary. I have this innate gift to almost rise above any conversation or situation and see it from an eagle standpoint, eagle point of view. And so that's what helps me to see things, to visualize things for those that I get to work with and guide. So yeah,
I
and I've
love it.
been in business for almost 13 years now. So
Mm.
yeah.
Awesome. And let's just dive into our conversation because I truly love the topic that we are going to talk about, unveiling your brilliance.
Mhm.
Sarah, what this is all about.
Mm, I went for years thinking that I was doing all of the spiritual work, and saging, meditation, uncovering limiting beliefs. But I didn't want to unveil my brilliance fully because
Mhm.
I had a lot of emotions around that. And yeah, we may have a lot of beliefs, and you may have a lot of beliefs around, doing what you're here to do, and
Right.
living out your dreams and manifesting your desires and all those buzzwords. And there might be beliefs, but underneath those beliefs, what I found is emotions.
Mhm.
And I did not want to tap into them, connect with them. I was more comfortable suppressing them and
Mhm.
hiding them down. And so throughout the last year and a half, I've created the healed process, and it's truly allowed me to unveil my own brilliance. And we all have it, every single one
Mhm.
of us. Um, May I share a story
Of
about
course.
like so I was sitting in meditation, and I felt like I was I had put myself in my own jail.
Mm.
And I realized as I was having this experience in my mind's eye that this jail, like the door was open.
Mhm.
It had bars up, but it had beautiful stained glass windows, luxury carpet, a chandelier. It was decorated in all of my favorite colors, and everything in it was very comforting. It's what
Mhm.
I knew. And yet I was being invited to step out of it and into my own brilliance. And I remember thinking, but I don't know what that's like. And this isn't the last year and a half. So for those who may know me and listening to my own platform and getting to know you, Irina, you'll be like, what? Sarah, you've been channeling alive. You've been open about it. You've been out of that spiritual closet. But there was more to me, and
Mhm.
I was afraid of it. And I was afraid to really allow myself to be fully human. For so long, I went from like being a group fitness instructor and all about my body and being human. Then I was like, then my mental health was bad, so I worked on that. And then I was like, oh wow, I have a soul. I got this energy. Like, this is amazing. Who cares about that body? you
Mhm.
know. Well, so then there was a lot of human stuff, a lot of emotions. And so we can't really ever truly step into our unveil our brilliance if we aren't willing to release the past pains, the past beliefs about ourselves, those emotions that we store in our body. And so as I stepped through that doorway in my meditation from that comfort zone, from my own jail cell that I put myself in at a very young age, I stepped through it. And it was so scary. It was so hard to energetically, emotionally do that, that like outwardly, my husband was like having coffee in the chair in front of me. And he just saw like, I had my eyes shut and I just was like, had tears running down my face because I had to leave behind. So in order to unveil your brilliance, step into your full self, your true self, I had to walk away from everything that I knew. And what I mean by that is like, I had to evaluate and see and observe and have an awareness that, you know, was I coaching from an unhealed space? Was I mothering, nurturing from an unhealed space? And unhealed for me is like, I would overgive and overshare and oversupport in my business because I didn't want anybody to feel alone or abandoned. You know, and abandonment was my own wound. And so I didn't want to do that. So then I became fatigued and burned out. And so I was coaching from an unhealed space, unable to truly unveil my brilliance and become that masterpiece that I know that I am. And so then like mothering also, you know, was I mothering from a space that I truly knew of, like in my own brilliance, in my own knowing, in my own soul, in my own intuition, or was I mothering from a space that I had experienced? Do you want me to keep giving examples, or shall we like interact here and not just me sharing? But what are your thoughts on that? And have you experienced something, Irina? Or?
You know what? Yeah, I mean, I'm experiencing a lot of growth, right? And again, for the longest time, and thanks so much for sharing. This is like very enlightening, and I know it's going to be using, you know, like having the purpose for everybody who is tuning in, because to understand, a lot of people are living in 3D world, and it was me until I discovered that there is something more to us than just the body. And just understanding that we have all these beliefs that were installed in us from our childhood, then when we went to school, then when we were communicating with our peers, from the society, from the people around us. And a lot of these beliefs are not even our beliefs. So this is like something that we constantly question in ourselves. Every day as I wake up, I always want to tune into what is important for me, what resonates to my heart, what resonates to my soul, because a lot of times we are just being banned by, you know, being working for somebody else, or it could be even from our partner, maybe parents, right? Whoever it is. Like sometimes even my kids boss me around. I'm like, you know what? I forget who I am, right? You know, like I don't even know who is the mother in this, right? So that is so hysterical, right? But
It
the
is.
idea
I mean, I can relate. I mean, I
is,
can, like I tell them to turn off. Oh, this is a topic. So people have said to me before, oh, so you're enlightened and you can connect. Is your whole household like this? You know, like do you just meditate together? And I'm like, no, they're
no,
6.5 and 11. Like
right.
most of the time I'm telling them to get in and out of the shower, eat their food, turn off the iPad, put the iPad away. Let's go.
Right,
And
right.
sometimes like they even this morning for breakfast they were trying to I was like, girls, we have to get going. I have two girls, and and the youngest one's like, I heard you, I'm going. And I'm like, oh sister, oh the sass, like, and all that goes through my mind is, okay, how do I want to respond to this as the healed me, and not
Right.
because the first thought that comes through me is like
Reactive, right?
growing up and in past experiences, my mouth would have been slapped. Like there would have
Right,
been like no
right.
way that I could ever talk back. But I also don't want to teach them that,
Right.
like that they
Mm-hmm.
can stand up for themselves. But hey, how about we be loving and kind too? Like
Right.
there's a balance. So
Totally, totally. And, like coming back to our conversation, so
yes.
there is always another level of ours, there is another layer of the depth, right? Because we all have that universe inside of us. And it's like to get to know ourselves better, this is a lifelong journey. And a lot of people do not relate because they are just lacking that awareness. And sometimes even like talking to somebody, it's like I'm having three eyes, right? Which we all do, but not all of them develop them, right? But sometimes people look at me strangely and I'm like, okay, my message is just to deliver the awareness, and it's up to everybody else whether they want to listen. And sometimes people have their timing. It could be like a year or two, somebody just like comes back and say, hey, you know what, now I'm ready, right? So
Mhm.
the thing is, we can just inform people, but it's up to everybody individually to really make that decision. Is it something that they want to continue discovering? And you know what? This is something that I just wanted to say, because a lot of times we are the worst critiques of ourselves. We are the ones who are not giving ourselves the permission to
Yeah.
explore and to do these things and just, like really step into our power. What do you think about it, Sarah?
I just had this experience. I wish I had it closer. So my friend and next door neighbor does art therapy, and she had me um, create out of like a Picasso, I believe, out of like construction paper, but my own face. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's not the best, and it's sitting over on the sofa over there. But anyways, as I was doing it, I know who I am. But she's like, "But how do others see you?" And it was like stumping me because I'm like, I don't know. I'm pretty critical of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, huh, am I always this way? Am I never this way? Am I sometimes like this? Like
Mm-hmm.
I, complete. And I even said to her as I was beginning to create the picture, I was like, "Ooh, I am really hard on myself, and it wasn't just about the art. It was my own thoughts that were coming
Mm-hmm.
through that I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh man." So yeah, we are our biggest
Mm-hmm.
critic. And if we set that aside, and I was like, okay, I've done the work. I have felt my feelings. I have felt the emotions. I know I have released them. If I step into the healed me, okay, who is she? And I allowed myself then to create from that space. And it came easy. I mean, I've done so much work, finding out
Mm-hmm.
what my principles are, what my values are. Like when I started this journey, back in 2011, 12, I started this business. And then someone had asked me, who are you as a CEO of your life?
Mm-hmm.
And she was a coach, and it was like one of the first questions. And I had no idea. I mean, I came from local
Mm-hmm.
government, so I'm like,
Right.
I was an employee. I have no idea. And so as I found my values, found my principles, my beliefs, I anchored into them. I know the teachings. I teach. I mean, like, it's not that I
Mhm.
just teach stuff. I embody it first. I live it,
Right.
and then I experience it, and then I teach it. So I was like, all right, I do know myself, and I do know how others perceive me as well. It's just that inner critic, that inner voice, and sometimes you need to even just stop. And I write it down. Like I write down. I have a notepad by me at all times, and if there's a thought that comes to me that I know with every fiber of my being is not true, I'm gonna write it out. I'm gonna get it out
Mhm.
of my head onto paper and be like, and then once you read it, you're like, this is so not true. Like, why am I being so critical of myself? So
Mm.
how do you stop yourself from being so critical?
You know what? I just learned to love myself. And for me, like the biggest tools that I used, I did talk to astrologer. I talked to the numerology expert, and these are the people who actually reveal what are my gifts and talents are. So now I can just like really connect to that. and know that sometimes even the road is rough, which we are all going through some moments, right? There is not a single, even the most successful person who just has it all like with the red carpet unfold,
Mhm.
right? So everybody goes through something, and the idea is how just check with our mindset, because our mindset is everything. If we can pick ourselves in these moments, if we can just praise ourselves for everything what we've done, and stop saying that it's never enough, and we still have more work to do, just step, pause, and recognize how much you've already done. And this is something that I'm doing this year, Sarah. I wasn't really notorious last year doing it. Now I said every week at least to check in, what are my accomplishments for the week? Because
For
then
sure.
when I reflected for the year 2024, it was difficult to pick every detail. I was just
Mhm.
going like to the major milestones.
Mhm.
But it's so important for our self-esteem just to go back to everything what we are doing, just to know that we are doing a lot, and we are where we have to be, right, on our
Mhm.
life journey, no matter what. Because the worst thing that we can do is to compare ourselves to others,
For
because
sure.
everybody is on the individual journey, and the only thing we want to do is compare ourselves today with that person who were me like 3 months ago, even
Yeah.
6 months ago, right? And identify that growth and see that we are growing every day, we are evolving. So
We
this
are.
is something that helps me tremendously.
Mhm.
And again, I'm just like tap into like, what are my gifts, what are my talents? And what really also serves me is like every morning I wake up and I ask myself, how can I add the value to somebody's life?
Mhm.
And when we come from that place of service, from the support, we realize how important our mission is.
Mhm. It is for sure. Whenever I was so two things as you were talking made me think of I was guided to do that exercise of like, what have you all accomplished? So I wrote out everything, not just like in day to day activities,
Mm-hmm.
and things. Side note, I did tell my husband this morning, I was like, the girls got to school on time and they have everything. I kind of
Mm-hmm.
feel like I'm done for the day. Like,
Yeah, right.
I'm
That's the
definitely not.
win. Yes.
Definitely not. I still have so much
Mm-hmm.
more, but I was like,
Right.
whew, that was an accomplishment. But
Mm-hmm.
anyways, I wrote out just like all the degrees I got and the accomplishments and the awards and blah blah blah. And I was like, oh, it was on a podcast once when someone read my bio, and I was like, oh, I guess I have done some things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just funny because we just go about, we just do what we need to do. But to the second point that you said, when I have a quote unquote big task or a divine assignment for per se to do, like when the 144 wealth codes came out and I needed to promote it and get people on the launch team and things, I tapped into the greater purpose of it. Because if it was just me, I would have been like, oh, and I made it about me, I would have been like, oh, I don't want to share this. Oh, what are people gonna think? Oh my God. Because that
Mm-hmm.
was like the pivotal point, because now people all over the world are purchasing this book knowing that Sarah Sparks channels. And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. It was super scary, but I tapped into like the greater good of all.
Mm-hmm.
And no, I want people to unlock the abundance within. Like I want them to
Mm-hmm.
receive with these. So this is not about me and my gifts and what I do, but it's about humankind all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the second point I just wanted to make in regards to what you were saying.
Right. And it's also what's also very important to be in like-minded environment
Mhm.
with people who are on a similar mission, with similar goals, and
Mhm.
have the mentor or coach by your side. Like for me, like it was miraculous, because if anything shows up, you can always speak up and address it, and you'll receive that support and guidance to show you who you are, right?
Mhm.
And as long as we keep moving, we keep evolving, and that's the most important thing. And just for everybody who is listening and still not tapping into their brilliance, the first thing that I would recommend, just sit down and write down what are great things that I know about myself. And I guarantee a lot of people wouldn't even know what to write because we were not raised this way. The only
Mhm.
thing we knew, like for instance, I had a very strict mom, but I grateful to her because she really taught me to be organized, to be responsible, right? I have that, male side of me, like really developed that masculine energy. But at the same token, she would not say, like she would not praise me. Like even if I did something good, it would be, oh, that's okay, right? But if I did something wrong, it would be like the whole spiel about it, right?
Mhm.
And obviously it did a little bit, like deteriorate my self-esteem as I was growing. But at the same token, I was very loved. Like I
Mhm.
always knew that, like she expressed her love not through words but through actions. Like I was always taken care of, like we never had money talk in the house. That's why I don't come from the point of lack. Like I was never introduced to that concept. For me it was like, the more you spend, the more you're going to receive, right? The money energy.
Mhm.
And at the same token, like once I started to really tap into my gifts and talents, I got like extra confidence, extra boost of that, hey, I'm here and I have something to share with everybody, right? Which we
Mhm.
all do. And it's all about just tapping what is my gift or skill, and what am I here to do? Because it's not just to live the daily life, but it's more about, like when we talk about happiness and fulfillment, it's absolutely two different feelings.
Yeah.
A lot of people who are happy but they are not fulfilled, because
Mhm.
fulfillment is another level of, that greatness that we can all tap into and feel like alive and feel on that higher mission in life. What
Mhm.
do you think about it?
Mm. Uh, if if someone isn't quite there, there's nothing wrong with them.
Absolutely.
And if you don't know what fulfillment is or happiness is, it's okay. Like you're on, like you'll figure it out, and don't beat yourself up. I was there. Um, and just take it one day at a time, one step at a time. But it's like, I love these two questions that were given to me from Divine. And it's like, what do you really want and how do you want to feel?
Mm-hmm.
And you talk about miracles. And there was a period of my life that I didn't believe in miracles, even though miracles were constantly happening from
Mm-hmm.
meeting my husband on the beach, having the dream about him, meeting him, then the two souls of my daughters coming to me beforehand, the way that and then them coming to me in real life, and
Mm-hmm.
and being born, and that was a miracle, and then finding this house was a miracle, and everything in my life is a miracle, but I still didn't believe it. And because I thought that, and I think this applies to being happy and fulfilled, is I believed that I needed to have a hand in my own destination, and in it, like the hand in the honey pot, like
Mm-hmm.
I had to
Mm-hmm.
be the one making it happen, and I needed to know how to make it happen. And when I asked Divine, why don't I believe in miracles? I wrote it down, and if I may share it, because
Sure.
it's amazing. Um, And Divine says, you feel you have to be the one having your hand, your intuition, your energy in on the game, in the pot, in the action. But love, all you must do is decide what you want to experience and how you want to feel while you're experiencing this. And let us, Divine, go to work on your behalf and bring it to you. A miracle is divine at work. So sometimes when we feel like we're not fulfilled and we aren't happy, just ask yourself, okay, do I believe that I am the one that is responsible for everything? That
Mm-hmm.
I'm putting all the pressure on myself? Do I feel like I don't want to put anybody else out? I don't want to be the burden. I don't want to burden them with my request, with my ask. It could be your higher self. It could be divine. It could be your own brilliance. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so if you don't feel like you're happy or fulfilled, just check in with yourself. Okay, what's going on? Do I have some sort of belief that I am responsible for this? And it's probably taught to you. Don't worry about it.
Mhm.
There's emotion inside that pot. One
Mhm.
of us, Arena or I, could show you how to release them. Um, and then, so Divine goes on to say, when you allow us to do our job and you don't try to do our job, miracles happen. Again, a
Mhm.
miracle is us, Divine, God, Source, Creator, Spirit, the universe, whatever you call it, at work. A miracle is us at work. Allow us to do our job. Your job is to decide what you want to experience, how you want to feel in that experience, and then let us go to work on your behalf to bring that experience to you. So I feel like that plays a major role in the fulfillment and happiness and allowing yourself to elevate and get there. So if you're like, I don't even know what that is, just check in and see, am I trying to do too much? Am I trying to over expel myself, put myself where am I trying to do the work of divine?
Mhm.
No.
Right.
So,
Yeah, I love everything what you share, and it's just like for people to understand that you are born with worthiness, with all the gifts, right? So you do not have to prove this to anybody, but you have to have the conversation with yourself,
mhm,
because everything starts with yourself. Because if you do not believe in yourself, how can you expect others to believe in you, right? We are our own cheerleaders, and we are our own worst judges, right?
for
So
sure.
the idea is like, what do you choose? Again, like you mentioned, Sarah, what do you want to experience, right? And the choice that we are constantly making in our life, maybe a lot of times we do it unconsciously, is something that we are bringing these real life experiences into our life.
Mhm. Yeah. And I love that you teach them to consciously do it because
Hmm.
we're continually manifesting. So it's just if what you're experiencing right now is not what you want
What
to
we want.
experience,
Yeah. Hmm.
then you can choose again.
Absolutely. And it's just for everybody to understand, if they think that I'm just a normal human being who have my family, who just have the full-time job, I'm just enjoying my life, just, ponder upon the question, is there anything that would light you up? Is there anything that you would love to try or to see? What
Mhm.
kind of another version of yourself you can create? Again, it's all coming from our decision, right? It's all our choice.
I have to input this here because it takes me back to when I first got divorced and I had no idea who I was. Um, oh gosh, I remember watching The Runaway Bride because I mean I got divorced in 2009, so like I don't know when Runaway Bride had come out, but I watched it and she didn't know what kind of eggs she liked. So when
Mm-hmm.
I got on my own and I lived in my own space, it was one of the first things I did. So sometimes just depending on where the audience and where you're at in your life, I mean, maybe you just need to decide like how do you like your eggs? You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like sometimes like I
Totally.
couldn't tap into my brilliance and what are my gifts and what is my soul here to do. That came, but I had to figure out like how do I like my eggs?
Mm-hmm. Right. It
Or,
could be something
like
simple, right?
it
It
could
doesn't
be.
have to
Could
be
be.
that
Yeah. Do I
totally
do I like reading?
complicated.
Some people may not know themselves, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not like maybe it could be my 11-year-old, it could be a 63-year-old. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
what age you are, but if you have the awareness of holy buckets, I really don't know myself. Start with something start with something small, like how do I like my eggs?
Mm-hmm.
Like I know that's such a silly question, but like I literally didn't know. And then I was all of a sudden like, okay, if I can make that decision, okay, I can build upon this. Okay, how do I
Mm-hmm.
want my home to look? How do I want to dress? What is my style? You know, how do I want to talk? Like what are my beliefs? Like then it started unrolling, but like
Yes,
I
like the
had
pyramid. Yes.
to start and like just pick everyday type of things and or like, oh, I don't like this kind of soap that I use for my body.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll choose something else. When I was like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I use this kind of soap because this is what soap my mother always used and she had nice skin. Well, maybe it's not for me. But
Totally, right?
like,
It's super cool because just thinking about, like we are making choices every day, all the time. Since we open our eyes, like what are we gonna wear? What are we going to have for breakfast? What are we gonna do with our day, right? We are making all these choices, and sometimes even the most trivial choices could propel us on a different life path. And it's so important when we become more aware, like what kind of choices we are making. And a lot of times we are not making choices that are in our favor. And I'm not just talking about like buying the fancy clothes or just, pampering yourself in the massage salon, which I love to do that as well. Like don't deprive yourself, but there is another level to that. Like and we talk about like we always leave ourselves behind, because being especially women, it's all about caring and nurturing everybody else. And that is something that we have to like really understand and realize that this is the lifetime that we have, and we gotta really serve ourselves first, because if our cup is not filled, we cannot serve to anybody else. That's
mhm,
where the like the burnout coming,
for
that's
sure.
where the fatigue is coming, that's where like people get depressed, or like
Mhm,
um can't really control their emotions. So yeah, like really take care of yourself first. And that's where it comes like, what does it mean to take care of myself? It means like really serve yourself, have the time for yourself, have that me time when nobody is bothering you, whether this is just journaling and understanding who you are, maybe just go into that yoga class or whatever it is, right?
right.
And then take it even further, where you are ready for that step into investing in yourself. I think this is like such a brilliant topic, because we were not taught how to do it. Okay, we know that. And I was just thinking today in the shower, like honestly, like before we were coming live, this is something that downloaded to me. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
a lot of times we are forced to invest into something. For instance, when we buy the car, we know that we have to have the insurance. Do we want to have it? No, but we are obligated to have it. So there
Mhm,
are things that are already imposed on us and we are not questioning. But when it comes to like investment in ourselves, we are going to like ask so many questions. Is it worthy? Is Am I going to see the results, right? And the idea is you just go with the flow, because once you make that decision, you invest in yourself, you already start acquiring the skills. And the way I always talk about, we train our brain muscle the same way as we would train our body. And we
mhm,
do not stop when the body is looking good. We do not stop going to the gym, or like following our diet plan, right? Because we know that everything comes back. So the same thing with our mind. Once we start training, there should be a maintenance all the time. What do you think about it?
for sure. When I began my journey and I began living in gratitude, so every day I would write down 5 things that I'm grateful for. And then I was like, 5 things I'm grateful for about myself. And so it could be external or internal. But I noticed during that time, I could literally feel inside different parts of my brain firing and
Mm-hmm.
shifting. And I could feel the chemical makeup of my brain changing. And I was like, that is so fascinating. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and then you have to continue it. Otherwise your brain can go right back into survival mode and hunting and gathering, because that's what we're
Right.
just innately. But if we live in gratitude, you can feel yourself literally changing.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so you have to
And
maintain. Yeah.
totally. And what comes to me, like, why is it so important to invest in ourselves? Is just because we want to tap to another level of aliveness.
Mm,
Because how many of us wake up in the morning and just dreading, oh my God, it's another day, right? Or thinking about to-do list, or thinking
mhm,
about all the obligations and things to be done during the day. And it already feels so heavy.
Mhm.
and we did not even start the day, versus when you wake up every day so ready to just like see that beautiful sunrise and just like be that, like that chirping bird, and
Yeah.
having fun in life, right? And just
Yeah.
take life with ease and fun rather than with stress
Yeah.
and demands, right? So it's
Yeah.
another level of living
Mhm.
the life. That's why you want to invest in yourself to experience
Mhm.
that, and
That's
plus to understand that no matter what's going on outside of you, no matter what the economy is, no matter what the stock market is, that should not influence the way that you are living your life, the way that you are feeling about yourself and the world around you. That is so super powerful, right? When we become our own um, authors of our life, we create our own economy, and we know that we can navigate in this economy regardless of what's going on outside.
Mhm. When I have invested in myself and in this business, it is with someone or a group of people who are already where I want to go. So
Mm-hmm,
since we are all energy, I tap into their energy, their
mm-hmm.
mindset, their habits, and then, their own brilliance. And it allows me to elevate my own energy, my mindset, my habits, and then elevate my own brilliance. So when you are considering investing in yourself, be on the lookout of, like, where is somebody? Are they already embodying, experiencing, living
Mm-hmm.
what they are teaching? Because then you will automatically go there. Sometimes
Absolutely.
I noticed that even from doing this healed process and healed work. It's not something that I learned. It was something that I downloaded, that I created. And so
Mm-hmm.
it was a rocky road for, for a little while, but I had to learn it. I had to. But now that I'm in the energy of healed, there's a level of, I don't have to even tell anybody anything. I don't have to, like you said, prove yourself
Mm-hmm.
or anything. Um, it's just me and my own energy showing up shifts
Mm-hmm.
the conversations of people. Like
Absolutely.
sometimes when we're hanging out with friends, all of a sudden they'll start talking about suppressed emotions. And we never talk about suppressed emotions or things, but
Mhm.
it's my own energy and
Right.
where
It
I've
just
shifted
reveals.
to. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So
Absolutely.
it's
And
cool.
yeah, and it's exactly just for people to tap in that we have our energy and we have our physical body, right, and logical mind. But when we partner the logical side of our brain with our creative side,
Yeah.
that's where the magic happens, and that's how we learn to tap into our creative side of mind. And for a lot of people, it's all about saving money, because I'm like, like this society is just was programmed that everything is about saving. And now if I receive something in the email constrictive, I'm just deleting it right away because it just doesn't resonate with me. I'm
Yeah.
all about, let's talk about how we can create money, and we actually can. And this is something that a lot of people do not have awareness, and
Mhm.
that's why it's so important to bring this awareness to the people and see how they can actually shift their focus and shift their energy and shift their life results.
Wonderful. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
so yeah, so much to talk about, right? And I just love that conversation with us. So Sarah, if you leave people with the tip, what would be your tip that you want to give them to
Mm,
really unveil that brilliance inside of them?
yes. Um, just remember that you are already a masterpiece. And
Mm-hmm.
it is your birthright to have everything that you desire, that you are already born worthy, that you are already born brilliant. It's the restoration and the alignment through the healed process that brings you, that helps you unveil, uncover that brilliance even more. So you
Mm-hmm.
can, yeah, yeah, that's all.
I love it. And just to for everybody, next time that the thought comes in, I'm so stupid or I'm not worthy of something, just remind yourself you are brilliant and you are the masterpiece. and just continue feeding this in your head, in your mind, and you'll see that you start thinking differently, you start acting differently, and you are going to start showing up in this world differently. And that's when you start receiving different life results.
Mhm.
So continue exploring, continue just tapping into that. And again, we are here. If you want to reach out to us, let's have the conversation, and let's just be in charge of our life than allowing the circumstances or the people around us to dictate what we can or we cannot. Thank you so much, Sarah. That was enlightening, and you can always come back with other conversation. And thanks for everybody who was listening, tuning in. And just remember that each time you listen to something, you are growing, you are becoming that amazing version of yourself that is ready to receive everything what you meant to receive in this life. Love you all, and see you next time. Bye.